You get in, you come in like around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. You know, I'm on the ground and bend over cutting lettuce, cutting 2 rows, throwing the lettuce, wrapping them, putting them in bags. When you're out in the field, it's like nobody cares what you are, what you're doing. You know, you can be you can laugh out loud.
David Ramon Miguel says he started working in the lettuce fields in Center, Colorado when he was just a teenager. His family had moved to Guatemala after his parents were deported. Then David's uncle, Miguel Francisco, brought him back to the U.S., took him in, and took him to work.
He brought me at a young age, and he took us out there, and he would help us. He would teach us what to do.
Every summer I would work in the fields with my dad. Everybody knew him as Pancho.
Miguel Francisco is David's cousin. David's uncle, Miguel,
that was his nickname, Pancho. Panchito, Pancho.
Or Pancho, was Minga's dad.
It was hard. It was hard work. And I thought, oh my gosh, how do you guys wake up in the morning and think, I want to do this?
For years, the family traveled across the country working in different farms.
I said eventually, my mom was tired of that migrant life and she decided, we're going to stay here in Center. So they settled down in Center and they both found jobs in potato warehouses. I remember my dad, he was so dedicated to working. He would work up to 12 at night sometimes. He was there until basically his last days.
Miguel Francisco's last days,
it was end of April, beginning of May,
came in the spring of 2020.
When the pandemic, was getting closer to home.
One by one, members of the family started getting sick.
My dad was in denial. He's like, no, I just have a cold. I'm always coughing. It's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm okay. And we're like, Dad, I know you might feel okay, but, it's protocol. Please go get tested. He refused.
Miguel worked at the Mountain King potato warehouse in Center, and Minga says her dad had been told he had to give 2 weeks' notice if he was going to miss work. She now knows he was legally entitled to paid sick time, something she didn't know then.
He said, I'm not sick. I am fine. I'm going to work. He would grab a towel, freeze it overnight, and then in the morning, right before walking into the warehouse, put it on his forehead for a few minutes, get his temperature check, and walk right in the doors.
Minga admits it was a huge risk for her dad to go into work sick. But in her dad's eyes, he had no other choice as the family's main breadwinner.
Well, when word got out that we tested positive for COVID, they told him, I'm sorry, we know your family's sick. We need you to go home. And I remember he was upset. He thought, who told him? And we're like, it's not like we went out there and said, hey, we have COVID. Because, sadly, it was embarrassing at that time. We were one of the first few families here to get sick with COVID. One day he told my other brother that he was living with at that time, he told him, hey, I do not feel well. Please take me to the hospital. So my brother took him in, and that was the last time we got to see him.
Miguel Francisco was just 56 years old. He wasn't the only one working at the potato warehouse who got sick. Health officials said dozens of people tested positive in the outbreak at Mountain King.
Things have changed now, and it's so much different. My mom is now working at that same warehouse, and I see the difference just from my mom. Like now, okay, if I'm feeling sick, I just have to call them the night before or that morning. And I want to say it was that because they realized, oh my gosh, if we would have let this person stay home, maybe all of these other people wouldn't have gotten sick, or, things could have turned out differently.
We asked several times to interview Mountain King managers about sick time procedures when the pandemic began. They did not respond in time for our broadcast deadline.
When those big outbreaks were happening, it was shutting down everything.
Nicholas Lara is the health engagement coordinator for Valley-wide Health Systems. Their mobile clinic provided testing during the COVID outbreak in the area, and now it's bringing the vaccine to farms.
Again, the farmers have been really quick to being in touch with us and getting our staff out there mobilized to provide those vaccinations.
Valley-wide says it has vaccinated about 1,000 farm workers so far, mostly with the 1-dose Johnson & Johnson shot. And it seems workers are well aware of the risks they face. Lara says at each of the farms the mobile clinic has visited, 100% of the workers have agreed to be vaccinated.
Dramatically changes the way that they live on a day-to-day basis, just having the vaccine. They can operate a little bit more freely without being masked up the entire time in those dormitory style living situations. It's almost like a better thing for them to get the vaccine.
For Minga Francisco, her mother, and her sons,
they loved him. They loved him.
The vaccine represents hope. Hope COVID-19 won't take any more from them than it already has.
I was a daddy's girl, as you can tell in these pictures. He always had me in his arms.
The virus took Miguel Francisco, a man known to his community as Pancho.
And he was really young then.
A man who showed his family how much he loved them by going to work. Now Pancho's nephew is honoring his memory by doing the same.
I was a teacher, and recently got unemployed and decided, you know what, let me just go back to the field. And he'd probably be all happy that I'm actually out here, He was a really good guy. Awesome man.